Hey guys, today I'll be building my own custom computer, and this is actually the first time I've ever built my own custom computer. I know it sounds kind of crazy given the fact that I'm so into electronics and computers and stuff like that, but yeah, it's true. It's just I've always been more of a laptop guy, and of course with laptops, there's only limited customizability, right? Never really built my own computer, my own PC, desktop, right? And that's where a lot of the custom building industry comes in, right? People building their own like high-powered, liquid-cooled, custom water cooling desktops with like RGB everywhere and stuff like that. I've never really been too much into that because I've just been more of a laptop guy. But yeah, recently I bought the CyberPower PC, Cyber C desktop. That was 2 years ago. I did a video on it, and it's basically a custom computer. I didn't actually build it, but I spec'd it out like a custom computer, and they just put all the components in, and yeah, it was shipped to me in a really unique case, right? It looks like a console. So I thought, okay, I finally got my own desktop for the first time ever, right? That was my first desktop ever, and now 2 years later, I'm kind of looking to upgrade my desktop, and I thought, why not try my hand at building my own computer now? Finally, being a guy who loves electronics and stuff like that, and also I built my own guitar, right? So it's kind of weird. I haven't built my own desktop yet. It's just something a lot of computer enthusiasts have done, obviously. So it's a little bit surprising I haven't done that yet, so decided to get into that game now. So yeah, I decided to get all these parts. I'm going to be taking some parts from my old computer, my old desktop. The CyberPower desktop, I'm going to be taking the PSU, which is a Corsair PSU, and graphics card, which is a NVIDIA RTX 2070. Given how hard it is to find graphics card right now for the 3000 series, I think that's probably the wise choice to do, because if I want a 3070, it's probably not easy right now. Just it's hard to find anything in stock. And even for the processor, for the AMD processor, I had to wait a while to get the AMD processor. So yeah, but I finally got it. This is the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. It's actually the main reason I decided to upgrade my computer, because I do a lot of video editing. So when I do video editing right now, I have a Core i5-9600K with 6 cores, no hyperthreading. So it's, obviously it's fine, but it could be better, right? So upgrading to the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, this is definitely going to be a huge improvement for my production, right? So it's not just for gaming. I do PC gaming, but I don't do that much PC gaming. I actually do a lot of production though, right? A lot of video editing and stuff like that. So for that, I really do want to have as many cores and threads as I can. So there you go, Ryzen 7, pretty good price to performance ratio. The new Intel Core series just came out, the 11th Gen Core series, and then you just look at the benchmarks and the reviews and stuff like that. I don't know what Intel's thinking, right? If you look at the Core i9, the 11 700K, or the 11 is 900K, and you compare it, it's not even as powerful as the Ryzen 7 5800. So you have a Ryzen 7 beating the current gen Core i9 right now, right? Which is kind of insane to think about. I don't know what Intel was thinking, right? And I think even the Core i9, the 11th gen Core i9 doesn't even beat the 10th gen Core i9, so they can't even beat their previous generation because it has less cores. So I don't know what Intel's thinking right now. It's weird, but anyways, switching to Ryzen. Okay, I'm switching to AMD Ryzen, which necessitates a new motherboard, and of course I think might as well get a new motherboard, get a new CPU, then try a new case as well. So I got the Lian Li TU150 case. Now I love mini ITX builds, so I try to look around for all the mini ITX cases, and this is for me one of the best for kind of combination. I like, well, the reason why I bought this case, okay, is because it's a nice combination of weight, size, affordability, and performance, okay? So when you're looking for mini ITX cases, there's so many factors to consider. Most people, like for me, like I just look at mini ITX cases, okay? Most people just look for the smallest one, because smaller, it's more portable, looks better, the aesthetic and everything, but you can't just look for the smallest mini ITX case, because you got to look at the price, and you got to look at the thermals, right? The performance of the case. So when I'm looking at some of these really small cases, there's some thermal issues with them. So one example could be like the Fractal Design Era, right? I think that's the name. The Fractal Design Era is it's one of those mini ITX cases that looks really nice. The aesthetic is really nice and everything, but the thermal performance is bad. So you don't want to go for a case like that. Another example would be the NZXT H1. That's a case that's like looks like a mini tower. Got a lot of good reviews online, but then it found out, oh, it was actually a fire hazard because the thermals weren't good on it. So I mean, just because a mini ITX case looks nice and small and portable and everything, it's nice to have that, but you gotta check the thermals too, right? Another thing is the affordability. I gotta look at that too. Like the N case M1 is a really nice one. The Form D T1, that's a really nice one as well. But they're both out of stock. It's hard to find, or it's too expensive. It's like double the price of this Lian Li, right? And other cases like the Cooler Master. I think the Cooler Master N200 is pretty good as well, but it's about this size, about the same as this, but it's heavier because it's made of steel. What I like about this one, the Lian Li TU150, is it has kind of the combination of everything. It's not that expensive. It's around like $100. It's very light because it's made of aluminum. It comes with a handle. It's a built-in handle. I can easily like lift it up, right, with one hand. So very, very light, and it's affordable. The size is not the smallest, okay? So the N case and the Form D ITX cases, those are actually smaller. But given the fact that the price is where it is, and the fact that it's still, you know, pretty light and portable, I think the Lian Li TU150 is just a nice combination of everything. It doesn't have any thermal performance issues as well. I checked all the reviews online, and all the reviews say it's a good performing case. So yeah, that's why I chose the Lian Li TU150, because of the combination of the price, performance, very, very light and small enough, right? I mean, it looks pretty good too. It's aluminum. Lian Li is known for their aluminum cases, which lends sort of a more premium aesthetic. Also, the main advantage of aluminum, I would say, is that it's lighter, right? If you look at a lot of the thermal take cases, for example, thermal take cases are pretty heavy. Like, they have some nice designs, but they're very big and heavy. Then you look at some other, I would say some other manufacturers, they build the small cases that look really nice and stuff like that, but they're just way too expensive for what they are. Like the Razer Tomahawk would be one of them, Corsair 1. Those cases, like, yeah, you're paying a huge premium for those custom cases, right? From those well-known manufacturers. So anyways, that's why I went for the Lian Li TU150, right? Doesn't have any thermal issues, pretty good size, looks pretty good. It's not the smallest, but has good performance, pretty light and affordable. So anyways, I'm pretty satisfied with this. Only $100. And let's see, we'll just talk about this case itself, the Lian Li TU150. You can see it has two USB 3.0 or 3.1 ports right here, USB-A ports, and you got a USB Type-C here. And one of the reasons why I went for this motherboard, which is the RG Strix B550i, is because it has a USB Type-C header, which I'm going to use for a front panel header right here. So I can connect it here. And power button, a lot of people have talked about how this power button is a bit wobbly. I agree, but it's fine, not going to be pressing it that much. Reset button right here, and the audio. So this is probably like the headphone jack and the aux. So yeah, or the microphone input rather. So it's pretty good. Easy to disassemble. So this is just a tempered glass case, which isn't good for thermals, okay? You don't get a tempered glass side panel here for thermal performance. You get it for aesthetics, right? Because you want to see the inside of the machine. If you really want a thermal performance, you get like a grill thing, right? With a lot of like small holes ventilated like that. But it's fine, I'm not going to be doing too much gaming on it. But it's very, very easy to open, right? There's no screws or anything. You just push off the case like this, and it comes out, right? Very, very easy. That's all it takes, right? Just gotta push it out. Yep, so I like how Lian Li designed their case here. It's very, very easy to disassemble, okay? So Lian Li TU150, AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, we talked about that. Very, very good processor, right? Got a lot of good reviews, good performance, good for gaming, good for productivity, like what I'm doing. So it's all around great processor. Just kind of hard to get in stock, but I finally got it. And then this is some RGB stuff. I'm going to put some lighting in my case, of course, and I'm going to check. I haven't done this before, but yeah, I'm going to see what I can do with the RGB headers and how I can hook that up. But apparently it works just with Asus Aura Sync, which is my motherboard. I'm using an Asus motherboard right here. This is Samsung SSD. So one of the things I'm going to be using some of the existing storage from my old desktop. So I'll be using the Intel 660p PCIe NVMe storage. That's 1 terabyte SSD. I have an M2 form factor, of course, and I'm going to be using the Seagate 3 terabyte rotating hard drive I have from my existing computer. I don't want to obviously I want to keep all the data and stuff like that, so I'm not going to get a new, I'm not going to completely, get a new hard drive or anything, but I'm going to add this one, right? This is just additional storage I want to add. So it's another 1 terabyte Samsung 970 EVO SSD I'm going to be adding, because I have two M2 slots on my motherboard. So I already used up one with the Intel 660p. I'm getting it from my old desktop, and I'll just putting this one in. So two M2 slots, one PCIe 3 and one PCIe 4, I believe. Cooler Master fans. This is for the case fans. Right? I think I have about 4 slots. I think I have 4 slots for case fans. So I got some Cooler Master case fans to put in there. Nice RGB lighting. Cooler Master's fine. I could have also used Be Quiet or Corsair thermal tape, but went with Cooler Master. I think they're pretty much all pretty much interchangeable. I mean, not too much performance difference. I think Noctua is a good one, so I went with the Noctua cooler here. So I got an air cooler. Now I was looking at the AIO coolers as well, some water cooling options, but looking at the mini ITX form factor, right? I know people go for AIO coolers because they look cool. Which they do, right? And you have to have space for a radiator and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it looks cooler than an air cooler does. But went with this one because it's a really, really nice performing air cooler. If you check the reviews online, a lot of them say that the NH-U12A, which is this Noctua model, this CPU cooler actually performs better than a lot of AIO coolers, and it's cheaper as well. So, it's a no-brainer for me. I mean, I don't really want to deal with liquid cooling. I could, but for me, good price to performance is what I care about. So the Noctua NH-U12A, very, very good price to performance. This is one of the best air coolers out there for your CPU. So especially for a mini, it fits here, right, for the mini ITX case. So yeah, it was important that it fits in this case, and I already saw a review by Hardware Canucks that already fit this cooler in the case. So I thought, okay, well, I know it fits. And yeah, I was looking at some liquid cooling, and turns out this Noctua actually performs better than some of them. So yeah, why spend extra money to buy a liquid cooler when you can just get an air cooler that performs just as well, if not better, right? So that's why I got the Noctua. Noctua is very good for cooling. And then of course the motherboard, which is as I mentioned, the B550i. Reason why I got this one, because I wanted to have the USB-C header. I was looking at the X570 as well. The X570i, the problem is that they didn't add the USB-C header for the front panel. And they have apparently a little bit more gimped Ethernet. This one has 2.5G Ethernet. I think the X570i has lower Ethernet. But it has one, I think the only advantage of the X570i is it has 2 PCIe 4 slots, right? This one has 1 4 and 1 3. Doesn't matter too much to me, right? Like, how many times am I going to use 2 PCIe 4 slots, right? It doesn't matter too much. So yeah, the B550i, and this is cheaper as well. So no brainer, I'm getting the B550i. I think for this, it's weird that Asus made 2 chipsets or 2 motherboards that one is actually better than the other, despite being like a lower tier one. It's weird. So the B550i for me is actually better than the X570i, even though that one's more expensive. Very weird. This one actually has a bit more features, so I don't know. It also has HDMI 2.1, which the X570i only has HDMI 2. So this is the newer motherboard too. So yeah, that's the Asus B550i for my. Of course, I had to get a new motherboard because I'm changing my CPU to an AMD CPU, right? And an Intel CPU, so obviously I had to change the motherboard as well. Yeah, this one looks pretty good. Of course, there's a whole bunch of motherboards manufacturers out there. There's ASRock, Gigabyte, MSI, and Asus. I would say the big 4. But yeah, I decided to go with Asus this time. My old motherboard for my old desktop was an ASRock Z390M. So I'm changing from an ASRock to an Asus, which I think ASRock, I would think, is fairly comparable to Asus. It's usually a little bit cheaper. Asus is a bit, ROG is a little bit more expensive, but comes with maybe slightly more features. I don't know. Maybe I think they're actually around the same. It's just Asus has the more slightly powerful brand name compared to ASRock, I think. So, anyways, it's B550i upgrading. And of course, like I said, PSU, the graphics card, and some of the storage and RAM is coming from my old desktop. So I have 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RAM that I'll be using for my old desktop as well. So that's why you don't see any RAM sticks here. No graphics card or PSU, is because that's all coming from my desktop. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you guys what came with the Lian Li case. TU150. This came with a case right here. This is my first time using a Lian Li case because, you know, I don't really build my own computers and stuff, but it's going to be fun trying to install it and work on this case. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I had a lot of other stuff that came with the case too, so I'll have to figure that out. But hey, I built a guitar before, so I think I should be able to build a desktop. Shouldn't be that hard, especially with all the tutorials online. And of course, we're all stuck inside, so a lot of things are out of stock. Apparently, everyone and their grandma are building PCs these days. So, no, or it's the Bitcoin miners. I don't know. So, there's some reason why there's so many things are out of stock, especially all the AMD and NVIDIA parts. But you can buy an Intel, right? You can still buy an Intel. I don't think anyone are buying them. But why would you buy an Intel if you can buy an AMD, right? AMD is just ahead of Intel right now. Alright, so first I have to disassemble my old computer. So this is my old desktop, the CyberPower Cyber C. Very, very unique desktop because it's in the form factor of a console, right? Looks like a bigger version of an Xbox One, or the same size as the original Xbox One, right? So yeah, I gotta disassemble this because I gotta take out the PSU, the graphics card, the hard drives, and the RAM, and then put into my new motherboard for my new computer. So anyways, yeah, let's do this. So I got my scissors and a screwdriver here. We have to disassemble this. Okay, so let's start off. Let's do it. Find the right tip is hard. Alright, so this is a very, very cool computer by itself, right? I think I've shown you guys this computer a few years ago in my video review, but this is the actual the button to kind of cycle through the different colors, the RGB colors of the machine. I don't think I've actually shown that before. But yeah, very, very cool. Okay. This case, I might sell it. It's a very, very unique case. You can actually buy it from CyberPower PC separately for like $100. I think it's about $100. Yeah. So you can buy it from them separately, actually. So that's that. So now we can lift this part up. There we go. Alright. So, only one screw holding the lid up, actually. Alright, so now you can see what's in this computer. So, here's what we got in this computer here, right? You guys can see it better. Okay, my old desktop, right, this is what's in it. So I have a Zalman fan right here. This is the CPU cooler right here. It's a Zalman fan. I think it's a fairly low-end Zalman fan too. It's got some dust in it already. So yeah, I'll be replacing this Zalman fan with my Noctua CPU cooler. Of course, it's going to be a big upgrade. This is my, I thought this was a Seagate, but it's actually a Toshiba. Okay, so it's a Toshiba 3 terabyte. It's a 3.5 inch drive. Interesting. I actually thought it was a 2.5 inch. Okay, so 3.5 inch drive, hard drive. I gotta dismount here, and you can see there's the ASRock motherboard. Right, that's what I'm using right now, the Z390M. And let's see, this is my PSU right here. This is my this PSU right here is the SF600 by Corsair. So that is my 600 watt SFX form factor PSU, fully modular as well. So yeah, it's and then the RAM. I think the RAM is like buried somewhere underneath here. I have to get to it. It's a 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RAM. Okay, so time to do this. All right. Nice cable ties right here. So I've actually never, like I said, I'm new to PC building, so this is actually going to be a learning experience for me as well. Disassemble, reassemble computers like this. Oh, I might actually have to cut this tie. Yeah, it's like no way to. What do I? I might not have to cut it. This is like, maybe we can just pull it out. So this is the hard drive, 3.5-inch hard drive. It's pretty hot. Pretty hot hard drive right here. The Zellman. Okay, interesting. It's interesting to see where everything connects. Okay, I gotta get rid of. Okay, let's unplug this hard drive first. Okay. Hard drive's pretty. Oh, this is so hot. There's stuff. Oh, okay. I see the M2 SSD now. So you see there's Intel. This should be a 660p Intel PCIe NVMe SSD right there. So I'm gonna take out that M2 SSD. That's my OS hard drive right there. So take that out. So SFU, I definitely need that. I'm gonna take out the SFU. So okay. Gotta turn that off. 24-pin ATX. Okay, let's see. This case here, I believe this is for the RGB. So the RGB lighting is actually this, because this logo actually glows. So that's where this header here. I mean, this is actually this for the RGB for this logo. I bet that is. Everything's the case is actually plastic, right? So it's a unique case, but I don't think it's like necessarily good build quality because it's all plastic and stuff. Whereas the Lian Li case is in aluminum, it should be better build quality. So. Start here. So this is a mini ITX case. It's fairly cramped in here, right? But actually this one is about the same size, I would say. Around the same size. Both fairly cramped. But this one is maybe a little bit more cramped, maybe. Form factor. So now we can lift this one up. Hard drive's not connected, okay. So we got I got a 3.5-inch hard drive. I got to unscrew from here. Didn't realize it was a Toshiba. I really thought it was a Seagate. Interesting. I think Toshiba, was it Hitachi that took over from Toshiba as the HDD maker or something like that? Oh, it was just that sort of okay. Just one more. Whoops. Okay, so I got the 3.5-inch HDD out. This one's 3 terabytes, so it has a lot of my data in it. Yeah, it's so hot. Okay, I'm gonna put that here, and that's the case. Now, getting onto the motherboard, I'm going to keep in here if I want to resell this computer, so I can keep the CPU cooler in here. Unless actually it interferes with my, I think it interferes with my RAM. Yeah, so I think I gotta take out the CPU cooler just to get to the RAM, fortunately. Okay, unplugged. So this was connected to my SFU. I had to unplug that. I mean my PSU, right? My SFX PSU. So this was connected to that, plugged it. Now, to unscrew the PSU so we can get the PSU out. Alright, so for the PSU, I can take it out with this. There we go. Take out the cables. There we go. And the M2 SSD I can take out later as well. Get this one. Okay. Put that out and 24-pin ATX cable. It's out. There, took all the cables out for the PSU. That's a lot of cables. Interesting. Okay, so for the power supply, how is this? How the heck did they screw this in here? That's my question. Oh, you know what? You gotta take out the whole frame of the PSU first. Okay, I think I know how they did that. So you gotta take out the whole frame of the PSU has to be taken out and then unscrewed. Be careful. Screws. One screw is like not coming out. This is so annoying. One freaking screw is not coming out. One screw. Come out, come out. Oh, finally got it out. Jeez, I changed my screw head to get that one out. Okay, finally we can get the PSU out, I believe. There we go. Got my SFX PSU, my Corsair SF600. So this is my Corsair SF600 SFX fully modular PSU. Finally came out. It's a little bit dusty. Yeah, you can see there. Corsair there. So I'm going to be using this for as the PSU for my new build. You can see how small it is, right? It's a small form factor. Full SATA, okay. That's a lot of connectors. Okay, so I had to pull out a lot of connectors, right, to get this one out. And of course I got to put it back in, unfortunately, because, yeah, I had to take it out just to be able to take these things out, these screws out. I'm going to switch back to my screw head. Ooh, there we go. Now I can take it out. There we go. Got the Corsair SFX PSU out. So it's the second thing I need, 3.5. So I need a 3.5 HDD from this, and now I've got the Corsair SF600 PSU out of there. Then there's two things I got left to get from this computer, which is the RAM and the M2 SSD. So there's only two things left, which is not actually easy. So I got to remove this Zalman cooler. So the cooler is not going to be easy to remove. I wonder if there's actually a way I can get the RAM out without having to remove the cooler. Okay, I don't know how I'm supposed to. Can get the RAM out. Alright, so that's one RAM, and the CPU cooler is kind of blocking this one, but I think I can get this one out. There we go. I got both of them out. Alright, so this is the 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RAM that I just got out. Yeah, that was basically the CPU cooler was blocking them, so I had to sort of press like this to get them out. It's a little bit cramped, but anyways, there we go. 32 gigs Corsair Vengeance RAM. That's the third thing I needed from this computer. Last thing is the M2 SSD. Alright. This one shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be as hard as the RAM. Yep, it should be just lifting. Get one screw out and then taking this out. Okay, that's it. This is the Intel 660p PCIe 1TB NVMe SSD that I put in here. This is my OS drive and everything is on this one. So obviously I have to take this out, right? Move it to the new computer. It has the Windows and everything on it, so I gotta have that. So yeah, Intel 660p M2 SSD right there. Now there's only one remaining component I need from this computer, which is the GPU. So I have a NVIDIA RTX 2070 here. Actually got to take out these cables too, because these are the PSU cables. So I got to take out the cables from the motherboard. So let's do that. Okay, so PSU connectors. Let's see, we do that. Untangle them. Get them out. Again, it's my first time disassembling these components, so probably not doing it the most optimal way, but oh man, the other one is like right behind here. Oh man, it's like right behind the CPU cooler. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. It's right behind the CPU cooler. Wonder if I can. Maybe I can take this one out. I don't want to disassemble the CPU cooler just to take out the cables. I might have to do that, I think. Yeah, so those are the LED cables. I'll need to disconnect those. Alright, that's fine. It's these cables I need to look at. So I will need to cut this. I need to get these cables out. Alright, so this is a Type 4 cable. I'm actually not sure how many cables I need. I might just keep this one in here because I don't want to disassemble the CPU cooler. So I might just keep the one Type 4 cable, which is... This one might actually have been used for the hard drive, right? What's the hard drive using? No, it's using a different pin. My bad. Yeah, it's using this pin. Okay. Alright. Okay. Let's get this big guy out. Damn, man. It's on there pretty tight. I wonder if it's like clipped on or something like that. It looks like it might be even clipped on. There we go. This is a big connector. Oh my god. Actually, I'm going to look at my PSU, what connectors it has. So yeah, this is the Corsair SF600 PSU, right? SFX, fully modular form factor. And just looking at the different connectors, there's a lot of connections here. So you got peripheral SATA, 24-pin ATX, and 6+2 PCIe, 4+4 CPU. Oh, I cut myself too. Okay, that's fine too. 6+2 and 4+4. I wonder if they're labeled Type 4, Type 4. It just says Type 4 on it. I'll put these over here. Alright, let's focus on taking out the GPU now. Okay, I'm gonna have to... How are these connected? How is this connected to the GPU, I wonder? The shroud. Okay, maybe I can already take it off like this. Okay, oh, here we go. Here's the other connector here. There we go. So that is the PCIe connector. Okay. Oh, so this is the GPU. It's a Zotac. Okay, so they used a Zotac RTX. Interesting. I originally thought, I didn't know what brand it was actually before the Zotac. So then this is connected here. The PCIe 16 slot right here. Let's see. It is pretty tough to get out. There we go. Okay, so that is the connector here. It's using that kind of... So it's using this kind of a PCIe kind of interconnect right here. Interesting. I wonder if I have to keep this, or if this is part of my old desktop. Let's stick this back in here for now. So yeah, that's my GPU. This is the Zotac RTX 2070. Looks like. So it's interesting. I initially didn't know like what brand it was, but looks like it's a Zotac RTX 2070. So it's like a pretty small GPU. It's definitely not a full-sized GPU or anything. I mean, it has to fit inside this mini ITX case, but yeah, I just didn't know what it was. It's not a Sapphire. It's not a EVGA. Not a Asus or MSI, right? I mean, yep. So it's a Zotac. Okay, so Zotac actually doesn't get like too good reputations for some reason. I looked online and a lot of people don't like Zotac GPUs for some reason, but I think it's fine. I mean, it's performed fine for me. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it. So that's it, guys. That's all the components from my previous desktop. So I have my Zotac RTX 2070, and then I have my Corsair, right, my PSU right here, the SF600. So that's my small form factor PSU, and then I got my 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RAM right here, and then I got my Intel 660p PCIe 1TB SSD, and I got a Toshiba 3TB 3.5-inch HDD right here. So these are all the parts I got from my previous desktop. So that's basically it. That's all I need from here. You see just how empty it looks right now? It's like totally almost empty now. It's just got the CPU cooler, which I might need to disassemble the CPU cooler if I want to get to that extra. There's another cable here. I'm not sure if I totally need it or not. But if I need that cable, then I'll have to take off the CPU cooler, which I don't really want to, but I might have to do that. And then the motherboard, of course. And it's pretty much all that's left in here. And then the LED connectors, pretty much all that's left. So yeah, that's it. Alright, so there, I got all my components I needed from my old desktop, and I'm going to start on my new desktop finally. So I might not put these parts back for now because I still might need some of these cables. I'll have to see. So I'm just going to put this aside for now. These components are pretty small, easy to lose them. Just put them right here. And these guys. Okay. So that's that. This one out to the side. Alright, and now. Alright, so I do have this from the case I already took out, and this was the screw. Okay. This is for the case, and okay. So we're gonna start disassembling this case now. So we can put all the parts in. It's pretty crucial though. We gotta look at how we're routing our motherboard and stuff like that. Ooh. Okay. Before we start putting stuff in the case, we gotta assemble the motherboard. So, okay, the motherboard's actually first thing. So, this is the motherboard, the ROG Strix B550i. Again, I had an ASRock Z390M last time, and I've not tried Asus before. So, let's see what we get inside this motherboard case here, inside this package. Okay, here's the motherboard. And we need a lot of cables, I think. A lot of extra, yeah, we need a lot of components because it's a motherboard, right? So we need a lot of cables and connectors and stuff. Oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Okay. A lot of stuff. Alright, so what do we get? 2 small screws. I'm gonna have to look at what all these cables are. Look, this looks like an RGB kind of connector right here. This other connector. I can look at what all these cables do. This is looks like a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter. Looks like for audio. This one, I'm not sure. This looks like some kind of stand. These are cable ties. This one is the plate for the motherboard inputs and outputs, I/O. There's another small screw here, and then these are like more connectors. They look like almost like, yeah, I'm gonna have to look up these connectors because again, this is my first time really building a PC. There's a lot of cables here, and then the motherboard itself, and then I have a quick start guide here, which I'm going to take a look at. Also comes with an installation CD. Of course, I can't use this since I don't have a CD drive. I don't know who really uses a CD drive. So how many people actually use a CD for a motherboard, right? I'm actually going to have to update the BIOS too. So I'm going to have to update the BIOS because I have a Ryzen Zen 3 microarchitecture. So yeah, this motherboard has to be, the BIOS has to be updated because my CPU is using This is the 5800X, which is the Zen 3 architecture. So this one was released. Actually, this might already be updated because this is the B550i. Okay, yeah, might be okay because B550i was released pretty recently. So the BIOS might already be updated. I might not need to do that. I was thinking about the X570i. So if it was the X570i, then I'll need to update the BIOS because it's an older motherboard. This one was released fairly recently, the 550i, so I might be okay. Okay, and then I got some stickers. Not sure if I'm going to use these or not, but there's a lot of ROG stickers here. And you know, I've used ROG devices before. I had a laptop, the G751, the ROG laptop, gaming laptop from Asus. So it's not my first time using an Asus ROG device, but definitely gonna have to read these instructions. So a lot of connectors and stuff. All right, let's get on to. I'm now gonna do the motherboard. So there's a lot of stuff I need here. Okay, first up is actually the CPU, so I need to put the CPU in, obviously. So here it is, the Ryzen 7 5800X. Socket AM4, which I like. AMD uses the same socket for like 4 generations already or something. It's not like Intel. Intel keeps changing the socket every time, right? No, that's all it is. It's such a big box for a CPU, right? It's like whenever you buy a CPU, this is the CPU itself. See how tiny it is, right? This is the size of the CPU, and this is a box for it. Like, why do they need such a big box, right? For something so small. This is, most of this box is empty space. I don't get that. I need to install the BIOS. Just a warning saying that there's a warranty, 3-year warranty for the CPU. So I guess you'll know if your CPU doesn't work when your computer kind of doesn't work anymore. Alright, this is a sticker for the 5000 series. Might put that on my computer case. And this is the processor itself, the AMD Ryzen. So yeah, I hope you guys can see that well. AMD Ryzen processor. Yeah, this is a Ryzen 7 5800X, made using the 7 nanometer process. So pretty good processor, got a lot of good reviews. It beats a lot of Intel stuff out there. I think it beats pretty much every Intel processor out there right now. So really, really good processor. That's probably the reason why I wanted to switch to Ryzen, right? Because Ryzen is just beating the pants off of Intel, man. Who knew, right? Intel dominated for such a long time. Who knew that AMD would be reversing the tides? So don't need these CDs. Motherboard stuff. All right. This is the motherboard. Alright, so guys, this is the ROG Strix B550i motherboard for the AM4 chipset. So this is what it looks like, front and back. I will have to, you know, for the motherboard, for the CPU, right, I have to remove some of these screws and just... I haven't installed a CPU before, so this is actually my first time, but you know, it's a learning experience. But yeah, this is what the motherboard looks like. There is a kind of shroud right here over some of the connectors, so I'll have to remove that, and here as well. So I might have to remove some of that. I think this is for the M2 SSD, so I will have to remove that as well. And you can see the connectors on the back. You got DisplayPort, HDMI, you got USB. This is standard. I think this is USB 2. This is USB, you know, 3.1 or whatever. USB A, obviously, format. So USB A. I think these are all USB 3.1 or 3.2. This is what, the reset button. And you got 3 audio inputs and outputs right here. These are RGB, I believe. So you have the RGB kind of flash and glow around them. USB-C right there. And you got the antennas for the Wi-Fi. Another USB-C. Not sure if one of these are Thunderbolt or not. And then this is Ethernet, of course. So, yep, pretty good chipset. Pretty good value for the price, right? Because like I said, there's actually some features about this one that are actually better than the so-called upmarket X570, right? So this one is HDMI 2.1 instead of HDMI 2. Has a USB Type-C front panel header, whereas the X570 does not. Faster Ethernet apparently as well. So This is better actually in most ways than the X570, but it's priced lower. So so go figure. All right, so I'm gonna have to look at this. There's a lot of stuff going on here, right? All these pins and connectors have to connect to like fans and the PSU and stuff like that. This one is for the graphics card, right? This is PCIe 16, I believe. These are the RAM slots. These are for the PSUs, I believe. And yeah, the fan headers and stuff like that, the RGB lighting, I have to figure out all that, and the CPU socket, of course. So yeah, socket AM4. I'm gonna have to. Yep, and I'm going to remove these shrouds too. Let's do that. Ooh, you want a smaller one, huh? Okay. Yeah, this one is actually an M2 heatsink. So I'm going to remove that. Actually, I'm going to here. You guys can clearly see what I'm doing. Here, okay. So yeah, I'm going to remove. Okay, so the M2 heatsink is right here actually. So I can move that. So we have access to the main M2 SSD. I believe there's another one on the back, yes. So there is another M2 SSD slot on the back. Right. So there's one on the back, I think this is secondary. The main one is on the front and has a heatsink that is attached to it. So yeah, this is a heatsink, so I removed that. Alright, so now it's time to install the CPU. So there's the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. And again, it's my first time actually installing a CPU, so I'm a little bit nervous here. Hope I don't mess things up. Alright, there's the CPU chip. Wow. Pretty amazing. It's such a feat of engineering, you know? Yeah, this is pretty amazing. I mean, if you look at how far we've come, right? This is a 7 nanometer manufacture process. I mean, we started with the Intel 8088, which was I think the first CPU, and then you go through the entire x86 microarchitecture, which is basically what every PC CPU is based on these days, is the x86 microarchitecture, and that started with the 8086, and you're going up through the 286, 386, 486. Basically, every PC CPU right now is still based off of the x86 architecture, and wow, it's amazing how far we've come. Down to this many transistors on this small of a fabrication, you know, like that's crazy. 7 nanometers. Wow, we've come so far. Yeah, again, I think 8088 was like the first one, or 8008 or something like that, first CPU. But okay, we gotta install this now, so we gotta line it up. Gotta see how we line up. There's a corner here that we gotta line it up with. Alright, so I think we gotta lift up the socket right here. And we gotta line up the corners. It's like a triangle here. The triangle here, gotta line it up. It fits. Just press it in or something like that. Okay, and then just snap it back. Yeah, there. And it's firmly, seems like it's firmly in place, right? Yep, seems like it's firmly in place. So right, that's it. That's the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X CPU installed, just like that. And now, okay, so the RAM. I can install the RAM. So got a Corsair Vengeance, 32 gigs of RAM that I took from my old desktop. Install it right here. Let's see. Definitely this way, okay. Got to make sure it clicks. Same thing, it clicks in. There, I think it clicked in. Okay, so there we go. We got the RAM and the CPU both installed now. 32 gigs of RAM and CPU. Okay. Next, I gotta figure out what the. Gotta install my SSD. That's right. So it's my Intel PCIe 1 terabyte. This is my OS drive, so I have to install this, and this goes here. The M2 SSD slot. Alright, this shouldn't be too hard. Just pop it in. Yeah, it's like SSDs are like the easiest things to install. So easy. And I've done so many on laptops before, so nothing too complicated here. Okay. Okay, that's in, and then I'll put back the heatsink. Remove. Okay, I should probably remove this. Is that right? Okay. Remove it, and I guess that's how this heatsink works. Huh. So you remove it, there's like this padding or foam. I guess that's used for the transfer of the heat. Okay. Alright guys, so there you go. Installed the M2 SSD, which is my OS drive. That's my main SSD, and then the Ryzen CPU installed, and then the RAM, my RAM installed, 32 gigs. So 2 sticks of RAM. Alright, so now I'm going to install my secondary SSD. So I got my primary SSD installed here. I got my secondary because I have a Samsung 970 EVO Plus, another 1 terabyte SSD I wanted to install. This is just to increase my storage space a bit, because you can never have enough storage. Alright, and this one should be pretty easy and quick to install too. So there it is. This is the Samsung 970 EVO Plus M2 NVMe PCIe SSD, 1 terabyte. This is going to be my secondary SSD. So there it is. The NVMe Express 1 terabyte M2. So this one is, so the thing is, the difference between X70 and B550 is supposed to be on the B550 there's one PCIe 4 and one PCIe 3 lanes, but I guess the difference in the X570, why it costs so much, is it has 2 PCIe 4 lanes. I don't know how much it matters. This SSD is only just, I think, PCIe 3. Because if you go up to the Pro, I think the 970 EVO Plus, this is the EVO Plus, right? If it was the EVO Pro or something like that, the 970 Pro, then it's the PCIe 4, which gives you faster speeds. But anyways, what do I know? I don't really care too much about that. I just think, I mean, it's good enough. PCIe 3 is good enough for most people, right? So, alright, so, interesting. How do you, what would be the connector here for this? So I can install here on the back, right? I think I need another screw here, but this doesn't come with a screw. Interesting enough. This doesn't come with, or does it? Maybe it's this screw here. Is this the screw? Okay, maybe this might be the screw. I was wondering, like, they can't just give us another SSD slot without giving us a way to, you know, actually mount it. So it might be this small tiny screw here. That's the SSD. Okay. Is this one? Alright, so secondary SSD going in. There we go. Hopefully this is the screw that fits. I think that it is. Okay, there we go. I think that's good. Alright, so that's the secondary SSD installed. This is my Samsung 970 EVO Plus secondary SSD, and then my primary SSD is right here. This is the primary one. So I got both of them installed now. Cool. Alright, and now I think I'm going to install the CPU cooler, which is this big bad boy right here. Alright, so this is the Noctua NH-U12A CPU cooler. Really big bad boy here. Oh man. It's my first time installing a CPU cooler, so it goes okay. And okay, this is what it comes with. Comes with it's got two low noise adapters. You got a 4-pin Y cable which splits the cables, I guess, the connectors, and then you got a NTH1 thermal compound, which is also sold separately because Noctua also makes some pretty good thermal compounds. So this is a really good top end. Well, this is a good thermal compound. I wouldn't say it's their best one, but Noctua definitely makes good ones. Better than Arctic in my opinion. And then a screwdriver right here. You got two mounting brackets for Intel and AMD. So, oops. Yeah. Then you got two mounting brackets for Intel and AMD. So that's basically what you get in the box here. So, all right. Accessories, and this is actually something that polarizes people about Noctua, is that they have this color scheme which is brown, and a lot of people don't like the color brown. It's not cool, but here it is. This is the CPU cooler. You can see it's got the brown color on it. A lot of people don't like the brown color, I guess. They prefer to have the RGB colors, like the Cooler Master, for example. Right? They prefer these RGB coolers, but this one's a brown fan. I guess very polarizing. Alright, so get this out. Ooh, okay. Yeah, this thing is massive. Alright, push that there. Man, this is really something. Look at this. Whoa. So this is the CPU cooler and the heat spreader. You can tell just how high-tech this looks. Comes with two fans. Comes with one in the back and one in the front. So in addition to the heat spreader itself. So very, very cool. Wow. So this is the mounting plate at the bottom. Right. Very, very cool. Okay. Very shallow. Okay. This is a top performing CPU cooler, so I've heard many good things about it. Alright, so okay. So I believe it mounts something like, actually it would mount like this way, I guess. You have to mount like this. So, alright, we need the mounting brackets. Actually, I'm going to wonder if we need to get rid of these retention screws. I need to get rid of the retention screws here. These are big. So I need to get rid of these retention screws so that I can use the Noctua mounting brackets. Okay. Now, use the Noctua mounting brackets. Alright, and it comes with, okay, this is just some like stuff from Noctua. Thank you for buying the product, blah blah blah. Alright, so here's where all the connectors and also the thermal compound comes in, very important. We have a big screwdriver here, which I don't need. I already have one. And we need to look at which. We have one, actually we have one instructions, sorry, these are also instructions. So I got, this is for the Intel CPU and this is for the AMD. So we need to look at the AMD. These are actually all for different architectures. This is for AMD, this is for LGA 1150, this is for LGA 20 something. So these were different Intel architectures. And this is for AMD because there's only AM4, right, for AMD Ryzen. It's the only socket they have. Alright, so let's talk backplate. Which one of these are the AMDs, which are the Intels, I wonder? Or it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. Why did they have two mounting bars? Oh, these ones are bigger actually. Oh, this is the AMB 11. Yep, so it looks like these are the ones I need. These might be for, they come with more, so this one might be for Intel. And they have another backplate thing here as well. So I wonder if I need to mount that. So, gotta remove the retention module. The pre-installed CPU cooler retention, remove it, I did that. Install the mounting bars. This actually included with the motherboard accessories. Okay. I'm going to install it directly into the stock backplate. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, see, this is for the stock backplate. Alright, so these are the retention screws for the stock backplate. So we're just going to install the mounting system onto that. The correct set of spacers. So we need to look at the spacers here. AM4 is the gray ones. So we need the gray ones. So we're going to use these ones. Right, and okay, then we have to use the holes for AM4. So they give you instructions for AM4 and AM3. So you can use the AM4 slots. Okay. Which are the inner ones. Okay. Where's the... Okay. Put these ones on here. So these are plastic spacers. Put it on. And it's using the 4 long screws. Okay. And then we're going to put on new brackets. Go here. According to this one, this is supposed to be the AM4 one. Yep. Alright, so let's install the mounting bracket. I think this is the AM4 slot I'm going to use. Right, yep. Okay, so we're going to install this way, this side up. It's weird, it's almost like it's using the opposite side, but that's what it says. Mounting bracket onto the spacers. And facing, angles facing out. It's important to get all this correct, else removing and reinstalling CPU coolers is kind of a hassle. I might not need this. Might be okay. Alright, so I installed the mounting brackets for the cooler onto the motherboard, so that's what it looks like. Looks like that now. And, oh, by the way guys, this is actually the BIOS flashback button, so that's what it was. And this is actually for flashing the BIOS, this USB port. So, just FYI, I kind of got it wrong there. Alright. Take these out. Alright, now let's apply the thermal paste, which also I've never done before, so I hope I get the right amount correct. Cables. This is the Y splitter cable for splitting, I guess, splitting the cables, and this is for the noise reducing or something like that. Again, I'm kind of new to this. I don't know exactly when I need to use these, but these are for noise reduction. And this is a sticker, a Noctua sticker you can put on your PC, I guess. And then of course, this is the NH-U12A thermal paste. So this is necessary, right? So that your computer doesn't, your CPU gets the proper cooling. So this is the Noctua NH-U12 thermal paste. This by itself is worth like 15 bucks. So it comes with the CPU cooler, so it's pretty cool. And it's a top performing thermal paste too. So that's cool. Okay, so now I gotta apply the thermal paste. So I got the Noctua NH-U12 thermal paste right here that we got from the cooler box, and I gotta be careful not to apply too much. You'll need a little bit. So yeah, probably around there is enough. So yeah, not too much. So I have about that much on the CPU, so that's all the thermal paste I need. Maybe even that's a little bit too much. Then, actually, I might take off the fans for this. Let's see. Do I need to take off the fans? We'll leave them on there. Let's see, CPU. Okay, here are the fan headers. So the fan cables right there. Okay. And then these ones just screw down onto this side. Okay. So kind of see how it works now. Okay. So we put it down like this. There. Okay, I gotta take off this. And actually. Yep, okay. Take off the fans. Okay, there. Take off the fans, and then. Alright, so I'll put this on. Alright, take the fans off. Alright, the heat sink is on now. Then we just gotta screw it to the mounting bars. Which, right here, I'll line them up. Come on, get in. Okay, finally I'm getting it to screw in. Oh man. Okay, fine. Get in there. There we go, finally got it screwed in. Alright, so now I got the heatsink installed. I just need to put the fans back on. So I think it goes like this, right? Clips on like that. Okay. Okay. So let me try. So it goes on this side. That's how it goes. It just clips like that. Okay, it just clips like that. Okay. And then this one goes like this. Actually, I think, can I grab the cables the other way? Okay, I'm gonna put the cables like this. It's a CPU fan. I have to be aware of which way I do this. Okay. Put the CPU fans on. Alright. So there you go, guys. This is the CPU fan installed now in the cooler. Alright, so I just installed the CPU cooler and the heatsink on top of the CPU with the thermal paste and everything applied. So, yeah, looks pretty cool actually. So it's my Noctua fan and cooler, everything installed on the CPU on the motherboard. Okay. I gotta apply. Okay, gotta see which one is the fan header. The CPU fan header. Okay. CPU fan. Alright, that's good. So this one is actually a CPU fan, I think. All three of these CPU fans, the chassis fans. Okay. Okay, so connect the CPU fan. And the chassis fan, which would be nice if we can get it routing down here. I don't know if there's any space. Yeah, pump chassis fan. Okay, use this one for the chassis fan. Okay. All right. So I got the fans connected now. So just did that. Attach the fans. All right. Now, yeah, these are actually hurt my fingers. Okay, bottom. I'm touching the bottom of the motherboard, it actually hurts my fingers. Okay, and there's an SSD down here too. Gotta be careful. Alright. So now the CPU is installed, or the CPU and the CPU cooler is installed, and the fans are installed. So next, what's left to do is we gotta connect. Actually, I think we can start looking at the case. Yeah. So let's look at the case. Right. The case. Okay, we can start. Okay, we can put the aluminum panel in. It's aluminum panel for the motherboard. So make sure that matches up. wonder if I leave this. Do I leave this side? Right, okay. Let's make sure it fits properly. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, let's remove this panel here. This panel gets removed. Now, you see both sides are exposed now. This is where the power connector is for this case, the Lian Li, and we can do all our cable management here. Okay. To see what we're working with, and I think the top case can also be lifted up without any tools. There we go. So we remove the top case too. Okay, so this is where you can put some cable routing on the top part as well. So I wonder what the install order is. Is it the motherboard first and then the PSU second? I think it's like that, right? Motherboard first, PSU second. Maybe. Well, what do we get? These are all reset power. Oh, I gotta look at this. Let's see what it's for. Okay, so this one is USB 3.1 Gen 2. This is HD audio. These two connectors, power switch, reset switch. And this one is USB 3. Is that right? Okay, let's install the motherboard. Let's install the motherboard first and then the PSU. Okay, so four screws here. Interesting. What kind of screwdriver is looking for here? Oh, you know what? These are the screws I need from here, I think. Okay. Yep, these are the screws I need. Those are the 4 screws, okay. Alright. So put this motherboard in. This bad boy. 4 hole mounts. Let's see if I can fit it in. The I/O is going on this side. So there's only one real orientation, I think, should go. Right. So HDMI, everything goes like this. Right. So this is after everything is applied. Apply the front plate like this, and then it goes in like this. Right. So I think this is really the only orientation you can go to the motherboard. That makes sense. Okay. Oh, it fits right in pretty easily. Alright, so I got the motherboard in here. Just gonna screw it in. So 4 screws, I think these are the right ones, yep. These screws are so small. So small. Come on. Oh, these screws are so small. we go. There we go. I don't want any screws to be lost in the motherboard. That would be pretty bad. That would be pretty bad. Come on. Oh my God. Whew. This one's so hard to screw in. It's like right there. Right. Kind of hard because the cooler is like right here, right? So I'm gonna. Okay. I think the motherboard can be a little bit tighter. All right. Whew. Alright guys, so I finally got the motherboard screwed in. So, man, that took a while because it's kind of hard to reach these screws, but finally got it in. Oh my god. Alright, now I gotta get the PSU. Let's see. So it goes in like this, I think. Where do these cables go from the back? It goes like this. Yeah, my first time building a PC, right? Oh man, it's a lot of hard work. More than I expected. Alright, the issue goes in like this, I think, and has to go in like, this is supposed to go, I think this one goes here. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll route it like this. Oh no, this has to go here, maybe. There's not enough space. Huh. Okay, so how is this supposed to connect to this one? Like this? Do it this way. Not enough space. So I have to do it this way, I think. But even so, it's really hard to connect. As you can see, it's like not enough space here. Like this is what I gotta do, like this, right, to connect the PSU. I think this is like the only orientation that somewhat makes sense. The other way is like I can't get it in at all. See, I tell you, man, PC building is not as easy as people say. People are like, yeah, just build your own PC. It's so easy, it's so simple, but it's not, because you have so many, like, you gotta get the correct orientation, you gotta make sure the right cables are plugged in the right way to the right connectors, and you know, like, so many things have to be done the right way, right? And then the cables have to be routed and stuff. Like, it's not that simple. Like, if I build a guitar, this is actually just as complicated as building a guitar. Maybe even more, because actually there's more parts to this one than a guitar. Electric guitar, I mean. There's actually more parts to a computer than an electric guitar, so it's actually maybe more difficult than building a guitar. Except for soldering the pickups, but, you know, even that's... Okay, so this one, how am I going to reach it? This in. Oh, shit. Come on. Make sure everything's aligned. Make sure the screw holes are maybe a little bit off. Yeah, I gotta lift it up a little bit like that. All these screws in like all these different locations, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes really hard to get to. Like the motherboard, one of those screws is really hard to get to, and this screw is like really hard to get to. Come on. Okay. Alright, and then finally we can connect it like this, I guess. Alright, so guys, that's the PSU finally installed. I got my Corsair PSU finally installed up there. And you can see from this side, that's what it looks like with the PSU installed. Man, that's not easy. Alright, so install PSU. Can I just remove the front panel? Yep, I can. So I can remove the front panel like this. So, that's where it was. Alright. Side glass. Okay. Okay, now we gotta install the HDD. So it's a 3.5 inch HDD, right? I gotta install that to the top here. And there's a, okay, so in this case here, the Lian Li TU150, 3.5 inch HDD will actually go up here. So of course the motherboard here, 3.5 inch HDD will go up here, the PSU is here. There's another optional 2.5 inch solid state drive or hard drive that you can mount here as well. And I can put a CPU fan, case fan here. I can put a case fan here, I can put a case fan here as well, and I can put two case fans here, and then the GPU goes here, right? These are the PCIe panels. So that's basically where everything is. Yeah, GPU will probably install as one of the last things. First I want to get the HDD and then the CPU fans, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, 3.5 inch drive. So we got this big Toshiba hard drive, it's a 3.5 inch, so there's only one space on this case. You can go, it's up there. And let's see what we can do here. We can mount it like this, huh? Do you really need a caddy? We don't really need a caddy, right? Okay. So I need these screws. Let's be these ones. So I actually forgot to put the panel in for the motherboard, so I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to put in the panel. I think it just clips in. That. There we go. Clips in like that. Alright. So now we have the front panel on there. Alright, so now we can put the motherboard in. Alright. Let's put the motherboard back in. Alright, so yeah, finally got, this is my progress so far, okay? So I got the hard drive up here, and the motherboard, and got the front panel here, on here, right? Okay, so apparently for this case, there's two different screws that look almost exactly the same. So these two screws, they look almost exactly the same, except one actually uses a different thread than the other one. They look almost exactly the same, except one uses like, the thread is like slightly different. So I was actually using the wrong thread. So that's why it wasn't screwing in, because it was actually using a slightly different thread, which is crazy. Okay. So now I gotta make sure I get the right one. Ah, Jesus. Okay. Who knew, okay? Two screws that look almost identical. Except the thread, you gotta like look at the thread. It's like very, very similar, but it's different. Okay, now I can probably screw it in. Yep, now I can probably screw it in. Shouldn't be an issue now. I was using the... Who knew there were two different screws that looked exactly the same, just with slightly different threads? Why did Lian Li do this? I don't know. So annoying. Okay, there we go. Alright, there. And I have my SATA connector down here. Okay, cool. So there we go. Motherboard installed. Then I got the 3.5-inch hard drive installed, and then I got the PSU installed. So time for the fans now, I guess. Here we go. Alright, now time for the fans. So the fans, there's one case fan that can go here, and there's two that can go down here. And this one already kind of covers this side, right? Because there's already exhaust vent from this side. So two can go here. Okay. Time to bring out the cooler masters. Yeah, because these two fans down here could be for the GPU. It could be to cool the GPU. This one here for ventilation on the front. So let's try the... Actually, I can have two. I have the master fan here and the SickleFlow. I don't really know what's the difference between these. I think the master fan is a bit more expensive. So, so maybe it's a little bit better. Honestly, I don't know exactly the difference, because my first time really looking into this stuff. But all right. So let's check out the master fan versus the SickleFlow. What are the differences between two? This one costs like way more. Okay, so this is the cooler master fan with addressable RGB and stuff like that. Actually, they all have addressable RGB, so yeah, I don't know why this one's more expensive. Okay. And SickleFlow fans. Oh. Okay, I need two. I guess I could put another one. That's just maybe too many fans. I'll need to go overboard with the amount of fans. Okay. Alright, so these two are SickleFlow fans, and this one is the master fan. So this one costs more than this one costs more than these guys, but I don't know exactly what's the difference. I think it looks like this one is a bit thicker, not by much, and it has the logo, the Cooler Master logo on this one. This one does not on the front anyways, on the back they do. So I don't know. What is the difference? Maybe this one has like full RGB or something like that, and it covers the entire fan, while this one only has the ring on the sides. Looks like it, right, from the pictures. But actually it's not that either, because this one has the RGB in the fans too. This one has the RGB in the fans and also a ring. This one doesn't have that ring. Okay, is that the difference? So the only difference between these two, looks like to me, they're all 120 millimeter fans. This one has a ring, the RGB ring, and then these ones do not have the RGB ring. And that to me is the only difference between the two, and this one costs like double. I don't get it. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna mount this one to the here, and then these two are at the bottom. You know what? I'm just gonna use one of these fans for now. I'm just gonna use the master fan. I'm not gonna use these other two. I think maybe I don't want to go overkill on the fans. Should be okay. There should be enough cooling inside the case anyways, because I still have two Noctua fans here. Once I add the cooler master, there's like 3 fans in there. Should be enough. I don't want to go too overboard with the fans. And there's only one available header on my motherboard, unless I want to do like unless I want to split the cable, but it's okay. I think I will. Okay, so I'm only going to use one fan here, which is going to be the Cooler Master master fan. Yep, because I only have one fan header left. I don't want to use a splitter, and I should have enough fans anyways. I got 2 fans right here, and I got another one, so 3 fans should be enough for this. Because I'm not going to be doing any overclocking or anything like that. So it's okay. And again, no AIO water cooler or anything like that. I don't want to go too overboard with that either. I think these are enough. So 3 fans should be enough for my build. I don't need any kind of fancy water cooling, no extra fans or anything like that, just the basics. Okay, just going to keep it to 3 fans in total, no water cooling or anything, not going to be doing any crazy gaming or overclocking or anything. Okay, so here, I think we got one for the RGB header, and then one of these hooks up to the RGB header, and the other one hooks up to the CPU fan. So let's take a look. Okay. Screws. Minimal instructions, very, very minimal instructions. Okay, so RGB. I gotta check out what RGB options I have too, because I have more RGB stuff. So I'm actually going to check out my RGB options as well. Okay, these are more LEDs. This is my LED strip kit, so I'm going to be checking this out too and see what kind of RGB stuff I can hook up. Compatible with Asus Aura Sync. Okay, so this is for a 3-pin connector, not 4-pin. Connect DGRB 3-pin header connector. Okay. So where's my RGB header? RGB header. Team. Okay. That is that one. That's a 3-pin. Okay. Okay. Or just pull Gen 2 or RGB header. Okay. This is for a 3-pin header, not for 4-pin connector. Okay. I'm going to use the Gen 2 header then. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so man, connecting these cables are going to be it's such a pain. Okay, let's connect the fan. Actually, how do I connect this? Disconnect it, like to take off the dust grill. Take off the dust grill and put this one in. Cooler Master. Okay. So it's a 120 millimeter fan. Should fit in a typical slot in pretty much most cases. And this one's no different. It just fits in the front here. But one thing to note is that it seems like this Lian Li case only fits one fan in the front. So this is the one I chose. It doesn't fit any other fan, just one. You know, like regular ATX size cases would have like 3 fans and stuff like that. You can fit a whole bunch of fans, but since this is a mini ITX case, this particular case only fits one fan in the front. But there it is. That's the Cooler Master fan in the front. Okay. There. Let's put this one back on. Let's see. There. Snaps back on. Alright, so now I installed the case fan, which is the Cooler Master Flow. And the RGB header. Oh, this is interesting because I have so many things to hook up here. The RGB, some LED strips. It's because of this hard drive. Actually, I might just remove this hard drive just to make it easier for me to. Might remove this just to make it easier for me to connect some things to the motherboard, because the motherboard is literally right underneath this hard drive. I don't have enough space. So let's just remove this for now. Okay. So we have some space here, so I can actually, yeah, put the fan header here. Even then it's slightly difficult. Come on. The CPU cooler's in the way. Come on, get in there. Get in there. Whew. Okay, finally got that case fan header connected. Now for the RGB headers. Oh man. So I think I'm just gonna skip the RGB stuff for now. Like this stuff, the RGB strips, I might put in sometime later. But for now, I think I might just use this one RGB for the case fan. That's it. And the other ones I might do later. But it's a little bit complicated to do that right now. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna skip the LED strips and stuff for now. And I wouldn't even know like what kind of pattern to use or how to set it up anyways. I just want to keep this simple, I guess. So the goal of keeping it simple, I'm not going to put any fancy RGB stuff right now. I'll save that for later. So I only have the one addressable RGB to worry about. Just this one. So let's see. 3-pin connector, okay. Well, that's easy. Just connect this straight up. So since I don't have to deal with the LED strip stuff, it's pretty easy. Just connect this to the 3-pin RGB header, the adjustable one, and that should be good enough. Alright. Okay, I think I finally got it connected. That was a hard one to connect. Yep, anyways, got that one connected. Whew. Okay, wow, this is really coming together. Alright, and pretty much the only thing I need is I need to connect the PSU now to the motherboard and connect the PSU to the SATA drive. And then connect the GPU. And that's pretty much it, I think. Yep. Alright guys, so yeah, unfortunately I had to actually take off the cooler, the CPU cooler from my old desktop in order to retrieve the CPU cable here. So this is the CPU cable for my PSU, and yeah, I had to take off the cooler on my old desktop to get it, and man, that was such a pain, because the Zalman cooler is just, I don't know, it's just built a little bit differently, so those screws just wouldn't come off, so it took me like an hour to actually get that off and get those cables out. But finally got the cables out, and I think I got everything. Actually, I have to take off the heatsink from the M2. So this is the M2 heatsink. I have to take it off because there is actually an audio header right there for the front panel, which I need to access. So I have to take off some parts of the motherboard for that. So there is just like the pin connector for the header for the front panel audio is like, for some reason it's like right above the M2 SSD. So I have to take off the heatsink for that just to have access to it. Okay. Alright, so yeah, now there's a few things left to do still. I have to connect all the cables and stuff, so all the PSU cables have to be connected, and the case cables have to be connected, and then the GPU. So yeah, there's a few things left to do, and let's do that now. So, right, so man, there's a lot of PSU cables. So this one is to the motherboard, this big one. This one here is for the CPU. This one here is for the GPU. It's a PCIe cable. And then this one here is for the SATA, for the hard drive. And then I got a few case cables here I got to connect to. I got a USB 2, no, it's USB 3. Yeah, USB 3.1 and a USB front panel header to connect. And I got the power switch to connect, and the reset button to connect, and other front panel audio to connect. So I got a whole bunch of cables to connect to the motherboard. So yeah, I just need to have access to all these. Alright, where am I going to feed this cable through? I'm going to feed it through here. Okay. Let's feed them through here. Man, this is this is going to be a pain. Again, my first time connecting these cables. Okay, so this one goes to the motherboard. So this huge cable here goes to the motherboard. So for the PSU. Oh, there, got a click. And connected to the 24-pin ATX on the front panel here. I mean on the PSU connector here. Right, so the 24-pin ATX goes here, okay. Alright, there we go. So this is the PSU connecting to the motherboard. Right there. Right, and what else? Alright, so yeah, I got the ATX cables connected to the motherboard. That's the main one, that's the big one. And then CPU cable. So this is the CPU cable, which is this one here. Yep. So this one actually connects here. Oh man. Some visibility. Alright, there. I think I connected that. This is the addressable RGB header. It's a little bit weird. So this addressable RGB header, the connection is not very secure to my Cooler Master fan. I wonder if that's on purpose or there's no snapping or anything. Alright, so this one goes here. So this is a 4+4 CPU. cable connector, which goes here, I believe. Again, this is probably why people always talk about cable management, because there's so many cables when you add in the PSU cables, especially. These are like huge cables. Oh, actually. Oh. Does this go down there? Okay. It goes like this. Alright, there we go. So that's a CPU cable now connected. Then the SATA cables. Well, actually, before the SATA cables, let's connect the case cables. So, got a USB-C front header connector, which I believe. Actually, let's connect the small ones. So yeah, these tiny ones here. There's like two tiny ones here, which is a reset switch and power switch. So, it's a reset switch and power switch. The front panel connector. Let's power those two, reset those two. Okay. I think I know where they go. Okay. So, yeah, so the reset switch will go here. These are these two connectors right here. Oops. Okay. There. Power switch, and then I'll put the reset switch here. It's a bit easier. Okay, there. The power switch, reset switch connected, USB 3.1 cable. So this one goes here. Actually, let's get the front panel audio. Front panel audio. This is the front panel audio connector, which goes actually here. I have to like remove the SSD heatsink for that. Actually goes here. Right? Yep. Right here. Might have to remove the fan. I'll install this. Yep, just so I can install this a little bit easier. Alright, I think I got it installed right. Alright, I think I got it. Put the fan back on. Okay. Okay. And I'll put the screws back on for the SSD heatsink. So very, very tiny screws. Gotta be careful. Actually, if this is the one or this is the one. Don't want to lose these screws. Okay. And then this is the SSD M2 heatsink, which I have to put back on. That was a cable in the way. Back there. Okay, so now I got the SSD heatsink installed again, and I got the USB front panel audio connector connected as well. It's just push the cable in there. Now USB-C front panel and the USB 3.1 connector. I'm going to put right, you have to like bend the cable around. Let's do the front panel connector, USB-C front panel connector, 3.2, goes right here. There we go. And then the USB 3.1 connector, which goes, yeah, it's right here. Sure. Okay, I kind of wanted to take it out just to see if it was correct, but I mean, yeah, it's it's pretty well connected now. I don't think I can even take it out if I wanted to. Alright, so that's all the front panel connections. So that's gonna power up the power button, right? This is for the power switch. I connected it to the power switch on the motherboard. Reset button, I connected that to the motherboard. The USB connectors I connected right here. This is USB 3.1 connectors. USB-C port, USB 3.2 connector, I connected that right there. And the audio jacks I connected by taking off the heatsink, and I connected it over there. So that's all the front panel connections connected. So then, now let's put the SATA drive back, and I need the SATA drive connections as well. So these are the SATA drive connections for my 3.5 inch. So we're going to connect that. Right, so unfortunately I lost one of my screws to connect my hard drive, to mount my hard drive to my case. So I'm going to try to use a replacement screw, and I tried this one already with the same H2D. It seems to have very similar threading, so hopefully it'll work, and I can just use that as a replacement screw. Alright, so yeah, got my SATA connectors right here. So to connect my HDD, I just got to connect this one to the PSU. So that's the connector for the PSU, and then two connectors here. These are connecting to the motherboard, and then these ones to the hard drive itself. So, yep, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, actually, why do I have got two connectors to the? Oh, yeah, okay. These are both connecting to the hard drive. Okay. So this is one of the hard drive connectors. So I'll put it here. Right, just connects like that. And there's actually four SATA connectors here on the motherboard. So I can connect up to 4 of these in theory, right? I mean, there's not enough in my case to actually mount 4. I can only mount 2, right? I can mount a 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch here and a 2.5 inch here. So I can actually only mount 2 in this case. But if you have a bigger case, like an ATX or a tower case, mid-tower, you can connect even more, because there's actually 4 SATA connectors on my motherboard. I only need 1, right? So this is the only hard drive that I'm connecting. So I already have my 2 M2 SSDs in there. And then this is the other connector. This actually has 4. Huh, it's 4 connectors, so I'm only going to use 1. Right, that's it. So these 2, and this is going to connect to PSU. So this is for peripheral and SATA connections. On my PSU I have 1 space here. Put it here. There we go. And this one goes to the motherboard. Put it in this slot here. There we go. Connected to the motherboard. Alright, so this SATA drive is now connected to the motherboard and the PSU. I'm going to do all the cable management a little bit later, but that's it. And hopefully my replacement screws are going to work here. So. Something like this. Cables. Okay. Alright. Use my replacement screw. I hope that works. here. Alright, I think that works. So my replacement screw actually works. Cool. Alright, so that's my 3.5 inch HDD mounted, my 3 terabyte Toshiba. So yeah, wow. Okay. Now there's only one thing left to do, since I'm not gonna do the I'm not gonna do any of the RGB LED stuff right now. So there's only one thing left to do, and that is the graphics card. So I got a PCIe kind of interconnect here, and this is the Zotac RTX 2070. So of course going to put this, reuse this one. So I'm going to take out some PCIe panels I got to take out from the back. I think it's recommended actually. Let's see how this will fit in. So it'll fit in like this. Yeah, which means that these two need to be taken out. Okay. Yep. So I'm going to take these two out. A lot of screws. I mean, it's crazy how many screws that we need to build a PC. So many screws here. Alright, took out the two PCIe slots so I can fit my graphics card. Alright, so now it's time to connect the GPU to the motherboard and the PS2. So this should be pretty exciting. Finally, this is like the last part basically before I put the case back on. I mean the case panels back on. So yeah, I have the PCIe cable right here, and I'm going to use that to connect the PS2 to the GPU, and then we can use the interconnect, I think, to connect. Actually, we might not even need the interconnect. It might just fit right in. And then we connect it to the GPU to the motherboard. Okay. So yeah, it's gonna. This one 6+2 PCIe 4+4 CPU. I think we got that. Yeah, got there. And I wonder why this is a 6+2 connector. I wonder why they split it like that. It's weird, but yeah, this connects to the GPU like this, I believe. There we go. You hear that clip sound. Right, so that's a Zotac RTX 2070. Right now connected to the PS2. Now I'm going to connect it to the motherboard. And I don't know if I even need the interconnect. I might not even need it. It might just click. So I'm going to open it up. We'll open it up. PCIe 16 slot. And I'm going to try to fit it in. Oh, yeah, fits in pretty well. Would you look at that? Alright, so there we go. There's the RTX 2070, the Zotac RTX 2070 GeForce. I just connected it to the motherboard and the PS2. I'm actually pretty proud because I've never done something like this before. That's pretty cool. Now there is this panel, which I can use. Alright, so I have the GPU connected now, but it's only being held together by the motherboard. Like there's nothing else supporting it, so I actually have to attach it to the case with the screws here. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to hold it in place here with the screws. So two PCI panels here. I'm going to screw it in like that, and then this PCI panel remaining one. How is this one being held together before? Okay. Let's put it like this. Come on. Man, there it is. Screws do not like me, man. There's just so many of them when you're building a PC. Alright, so that's it. Oh man, that's a lot of work. Pretty much, PC's almost done. I just connected all the PCIe panels back together again, and now I'm connected the Zotac, the GTX, or the RTX 2070 to the case now. So now it's better supported. Pretty much now when you go to any GPU that's in a case, the support is really from the front, and then the motherboard is getting the support from the center. There's actually no support from the back here, except for the PSU. So that's really the only thing holding that. So that's why gotta be careful with the GPU, because there tends to be a little bit of sag in the back here, because there's no support at the back. But I think that's just how it is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now just got to do some cable management, I think, because got pretty much everything, right? That's a lot of work. You got the motherboard right here. Then you got the PSU, did all the connections to the PSU, got the case fan, the CPU cooler fan, the HDD here, the SATA drive, and the GPU all connected. Yeah, pretty much everything. So, yeah, not going to do any RGB stuff. Yeah, going to do some cable management, and then we're going to test it out. Alright, so here's some cable ties right here. Thankfully, Asus gives us some nice cable ties right here. So there is a lot of PSU cables here. Yep, and there's the front panel connectors as well. Alright, the front panel connector is all connected too. So I wonder if I need to do a BIOS flash. Might not need to do one because this motherboard is fairly new, but it doesn't hurt to do a BIOS flash, I guess. Yeah, these big cables. Okay, put those together, and man, this USB, this USB header is connected really well. It's like I can't even remove it if I tried. Okay, and then we have one like dangling RGB header right here, just fine, because if I wanted to connect more RGB headers and chain it onto this cooler master fan, then I could do that later. So I have like a dangling RGB header here, just fine. 3-pin RGB header, it's adjustable. So yeah, the other stuff, let's leave it there for now. Okay, cool. Wow, man, that's a lot of work. Pretty much almost done here. I'm going to connect the front panel. I think it goes like this. There we go. Front panel. Oh, top panel right here. Up top later. Alright, and the side panel. Again, I could route some more cables back here, which I'll probably do later. Okay. And then of course, got the tempered glass panel here. It's cool of Lian Li that they make their cases really easy to open and close. That's pretty much it. That's it. So yeah, let's boot it up. I got the power cable here. Plug it in. So yeah, power connector. Oh, Cable's not long enough. There's so much stuff here. Boot up? I wonder. I actually have a portable monitor here I can use to test this out. Right, so instead of like me hooking up to my TV and going through the receiver and doing all that stuff just for it to, you know, fail with something, I can test it out with this portable monitor. This will be a little bit easier to test it out with. So, boot it up. Now I just need a HDMI cable. So I got a display port to HDMI cable right here, so hopefully the graphics card will boot up. And we can see the operating system loading. So, connect it. This portable monitor is a little bit weird because it has the HDMI connection. This is a really old one. I actually bought this one in 2014, I think. It's a really old portable monitor. But anyways, I don't really use it much. I only use it for like testing, like for this. Now we connect this to the GPU, display port connection. Actually, I can connect to the motherboard to see if the motherboard, of course, boots up. The motherboard should obviously boot up. Okay, and I'm going to turn it on. Okay, so hold your breath. I'm going to turn it on to see if it actually works. Okay, is it doing anything? Nope. Oh, it's not actually doing anything. Huh. Does it connect to the motherboard? Something's off. I don't know what. So I forgot to turn on the PSU. So, I mean, it's an obvious rookie mistake, but there's there's an on button here. I got to turn it on to supply power, obviously. So yeah, that was a newbie mistake. Alright, so actually let's leave the glass panel off this time so you can actually see it working its magic. Oh yeah, we have to put it kind of over here. Alright, now let's try it again. Alright, this is portable display right here. It's all aluminum as well, aluminum and aluminum. And let's see what happens right here. All right, connect cable here. All right, hold your breath. Let's see what happens. Ooh, is it actually working? Look at that. Oh man. This is actually going to boot up. Let's see the graphics card boot up. The fans are working. Yep, the fans are working. Graphics card is working. Wow. But it's not displaying anything on the screen, unfortunately. This fan's working too. This fan's working, this fan's working. Yeah, so all the fans are working. The graphics card here is working too because I see it lighting up. Alright, I'm going to try using another HDMI cable to see if that's the issue. So I'm connecting my HDMI cable to my GPU, and it's an HDMI to HDMI. So I'm not going to use the display port to HDMI. And yeah, just trying different cables, see if that does anything. Try this, see if it does anything. This is on. No signal. Oh, wait. Something's happening. Oh, look at this. Interesting, okay. So we got to a nice screen here that will give us some, let's see. So this will give me, okay, so Yeah, I have some BIOS issues right now, so maybe I'm going to update the BIOS with the BIOS flashback and then see what happens. So I have my USB key here, and I'm going to try BIOS flashback. So I'm going to turn this off, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use the BIOS flashback tool. So this, I believe, is a BIOS flashback USB port. So I'm going to stick my USB key in here. And I actually downloaded the BIOS file in here and renamed it already. I'm going to hold the BIOS flashback button for 3 seconds. See if the light turns on. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, I see like a little light blinking. So I think it's now updating the BIOS. So we're going to wait until it finishes updating. So while it's updating now, you guys can see better and more clearly what's on the back panel here, since everything's now labeled. So yeah, you got DisplayPort, HDMI, all the BIOS settings here. You got the BIOS flashback USB port and the BIOS flashback button right here, which I'm using now. And then you got the 3 USB ports right there. I believe they're USB 3.1, and you got USB 3.2 Type-C port right there, Ethernet, which is 2.5G Ethernet, I believe, Wi-Fi 6, and you need the 2 antennas for that. And then you have an audio USB Type-C as well, so which is pretty interesting. And then you have the 3 RGB actually indicators right here for the audio ports, line in, line out, and mic in. So it's pretty cool that that's actually illuminated by RGB. And then of course my graphics card right here, which has 3 display ports, an HDMI, and a D-sub. So yeah, you guys can more clearly see what that is. And it looks like it's done flashbacking, so should have the new BIOS. So let's see if it boots up now. Alright, so it looks like it's done flashbacking the BIOS. So or flashing the BIOS. So let's try booting it again, and let's see what happens now. Alright, second time's a charm. Let's try it out. Or third time. Alright, come on. Expecting to see something good now. I should see an Asus ROG BIOS. If everything goes flashback correctly. Okay. Updating LED firmware. BIOS is updating LED firmware. Okay. Let's wait for the firmware to update, I guess. Let's see. Oh, it's still updating the BIOS. Let's wait for a little bit. I mean, I guess after I flash back the BIOS, it has to keep updating again. Okay, should automatically restart, keep updating. It's weird because I thought that because it's a new motherboard that it would already have the updated AM4 support for the AM4 chipset, but maybe not. Okay, look, ooh, look at this. It's showing something. Okay, please enter setup to recover BIOS setting. Okay. So I am going to use. It's weird that it asked me to enter the setup to recover the BIOS setting though, because I thought I already updated the BIOS, which is weird. But at least it detects all 3 of my hard drives, my Intel SSD. Right, that's from my old computer, then the Toshiba HDD, the 3.5 inch, also from my old computer, then the Samsung SSD that I installed. That's new. Weird that it still asked me to recover my BIOS settings. It should just, I already flashed that back. So I'm just gonna, so since I already connected my USB headers here, these 2 should work, right? I'm gonna stick in 2 of my Corsair wireless keyboard and mouse here. So I have some support. Now I can use my Corsair keyboard and mouse hopefully to. No keyboard detected, let's just reboot it actually. And maybe it'll detect the keyboard and mouse when I reboot. Okay. Let's see. Alright, so I got my wireless keyboard and mouse from Corsair right here. So Now let's see if it's okay. So I'm gonna select 2 keyboards. It says. Interesting. I only have 1 keyboard, so. Let's see, no configuration. Press enter. Oh, please enter setup. I guess F1 to run setup. Okay, there we go. So okay, here's the BIOS. So I actually entered the BIOS now. So these are BIOS settings. Interesting. So I have support for my keyboard and mouse now. Let's see. 32 gigs of RAM. That's all detected. Ryzen 7 5800. So yeah, looks like it detects my CPU and my RAM all correctly. It's AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, 32 gigs of RAM. Looks like that's all been detected. Let's see. And I have the latest BIOS, I think. And it detected my hard drives obviously as well, since I saw that in the configuration. Optimize defaults. Okay. Okay, I have 1 Toshiba hard drive connected. It sees that. Okay. So I didn't make any changes. It looks all correct to me. So let's see what happens now. Alright, it's the loading screen, and I should have Windows ready here because it's just using my old OS drive, so it should be ready booting to Windows. So let's see what happens. I'm excited because my first computer that I built myself, and it's actually working. And yeah, look at that. It's getting Asus. That's the motherboard I used. And I got the Asus BIOS, and it's detecting everything, my RAM, my hard drive, my CPU obviously. There it is, Windows. Oh my god. Windows booted up. Okay, let's put in my pin. Oh, look at that. Bam! Windows, baby. I have all my data, nothing lost. Oh my god, amazing. That's just great. I got a LAN driver. Okay, I gotta connect to the internet. Okay. Wow. So yeah, everything looks like it's working. Even the Wi-Fi is working. That's great. Even the Wi-Fi is working. So yeah, guys, that's it. I got everything working. So my own custom computer that I built myself. It's the first computer I ever built myself, right? I always use pre-builts. I always use laptops before, actually, since laptops are my main computers before. And wow, this is such a cool feeling, right? To build a computer yourself, going through all the time, you know, all the screws and everything, and trying to install everything, get all the cables and stuff connected, and you know, first few times it didn't boot up correctly, and after figuring out the issues, the first time is because I didn't press the power button on the PSU. That's a stupid new mistake. But the second time was because I guess the BIOS needed flashing, and now it's or the display cable rather wasn't even working. So I used the I don't know, maybe the display port cable wasn't working or something. So I switched cables, and then rebooted or reflashed the BIOS, and now it's working. So that's it. Wow. Yep, I got all my data, got all my games, all my settings. My Windows is here. Oh, there. Okay. So yeah, got all my data, got all my games, my Windows settings is all here. So that's it, guys. That's my experience building my first custom computer. This is a Lian Li 2U150 case with Asus ROG B550i motherboard with an AMD Ryzen 7 5800X CPU. That's what I upgraded, and it has the you can see the graphics cards working as well because it's lighting up. So that's the RTX 2070 also working. So it looks like everything's working, and really good experience building my first computer. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and if you guys, obviously, if you guys have any experiences building your own PCs, you know, the trials and tribulations and the challenges that you guys had to go through as well. Because for me, I think the biggest challenges I went through building this PC was the screws, man. I keep losing the screws, and I keep, like, it's so hard to, like, screw it in. I think one of the things I would have done better is if the motherboard, it would have been better if I just connected all the stuff first and then screwed the motherboard on. I think that maybe that would have been a little bit easier. Just connect all the cables first before putting the motherboard in the case. Because I put the motherboard in the case first before connecting all the cables and stuff, that made it a little bit harder to actually do that. And the stuff from my old computer, honestly, like taking the stuff from my old desktop was really hard because some of the cables and connectors were so tightly connected, and just taking out the CPU cooler took a long time. It took like an hour just to take out the cooler, and then trying to pull out the different cables from the PSU connectors and everything. Like, that was probably the hardest part of building this. So honestly, I wouldn't say it's that difficult. It's just there's a lot of things that you have to get right. You got to orient things correctly. You got to use the right screws. You got to make sure you don't lose them. You got to make sure that the cables are connecting to the right connectors on the motherboard. That you're using the right cables. There's like a whole bunch of different PCIe cables, CPU cable. You know, the PSU cables are the ones, because it's like a whole bunch of different PSU cables on there. So I think that was a little bit intimidating. And then the CPU cooler, if you don't know what you're doing, the cooler can be a little bit of a hassle to install. But it looks like everything's working right. I mean, obviously it's booting up, so the thermal temperatures seem to be fine. I have three fans inside this case. The thermal paste looks like it was applied correctly, I guess. If it wasn't, I mean, my CPU would be heating up. So yeah, looks like everything is working as intended. So, oh, there it goes. I got this Asus ROG software AuraSync. Yep, there it is. So now I have the AuraSync now on my computer, since I just changed from my ASRock to an Asus setup. So now it's using AuraSync for my adjustable RGB. Again, this time I didn't add any RGB strips because that's a little bit more complicated. Maybe I need a little bit more experience to lay out the RGBs and everything for the strips. But as far as just getting the basic computer working, and getting graphics card working, the fans, the motherboard, obviously, GPU, the PSU obviously has to be working as well. Like, getting everything connected and installing the cooler and everything correctly. Got my SATA 3.5-inch hard drive mounted correctly as well. So it looks like it detects that as well. So yeah, just getting the basic stuff working. I think that's what I just wanted to do this time. So anyways, guys, that's it. What an experience building my own computer. So hope you enjoyed that. This is a long video. Sorry for the long video, but hope you guys enjoyed that, my experience building my own computer in real time. And it's a good experience for me, my first time building it. And maybe sometime in the future I'll build another one. Who knows? So. Alright guys, so this is the reason why I upgraded my computer. As you guys can see, it's the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, 8-core processor here, and 16 logical processors here. That's a huge upgrade over my old Core i5 9600K, which only had 6 cores and 6 logical processors because it didn't have any hyperthreading. So yeah, 6 to 16, going from 6 to 16 is going to make a huge difference with my video editing and productivity work. So yeah, that's the main reason why I upgraded my computer. And you guys can also see my 32 gigs of RAM showing up here, and all 3 of my hard drives. So I got my 3.5-inch HDD with the Toshiba right here showing up. And then you got the Intel 660p SSD showing up. And then you got my new SSD that I also installed, which is the Samsung 970 EVO Plus, and you can see that one showing up here as well. So yeah, all 3 of my hard drives showing up here, as you would expect, and then the GeForce RTX 2070 also showing up here as well, the GPU. So it's just cool to see everything working exactly as you would expect. I mean, it's just not all that common in the technology world, right? Something usually always goes wrong, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised. swapping out all the parts from my old computer, and you know, doing this for the first time, and everything just kind of works, right? I didn't really run into any major issues, so everything just kind of works and everything gets detected, and no huge issues. So I'm really pleasantly surprised by that. So yeah, just to get something working as expected for once. But yeah, that's it. Just want to show you guys that everything, you know, detected successfully, working as expected. So oh yeah, so I'll put this tempered case back on so you guys can see how it looks like with the tempered case. Here it is. Alright, so there it is with the tempered case, the Lian Li TU150. So that's what it looks like. So I have to say I like this case. I mean, like I said, it's pretty lightweight, and you can have a handle, carry it. It's maybe like, ooh, after installing all the components, it's almost like 30 pounds, almost like 20-30 pounds. It's pretty heavy. Yeah, pretty heavy, but honestly still lighter than if you use like a steel case. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, by itself it's like 8 pounds, but then once you add all the components in, right, especially the GPU, the PSU, the cooler, all the fans and stuff, like that really weighs it down. So I'd say like, yeah, more like 20 something pounds. So not light, but definitely still lighter than your typical average desktop, obviously, since it's using aluminum. So yeah, not bad. Yeah, that's the Lian Li TU150 case. I'm liking it so far. It looks pretty cool too, right? Nice aluminum build. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. You guys want to check out a Lian Li case? I think they're pretty popular these days. Or maybe another case like Cooler Master or Corsair or Thermaltake, Fractal Design, right? What have you? NZXT is pretty popular as well. Let me know what you guys think about building PCs, what's your experience building PCs, and what type of mini ITX case that you would get for your next computer. Let me know in the comments section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.